If we were promised heaven, then why are we in Blenderstyle, the show where we discuss an extreme blend of music? On this episode, Cattle Decapitation, Monolith of Inhumanity. This album was released in 2012. Cheers, gentlemen.
Cheers.
Cheers.
This is my pick. I've been a Cattle fan since this album came out. This is the one that got me in. I was kind of familiar with them before. Their like earlier gore grind or whatever style.
Mm-hmm.
But this album introduced like the more melodic stuff they were doing now, and it got me hooked, and I've been a Cattle fan ever since. Casey, have you heard Cattle Decapitation?
I've heard Cattle Decapitation. I've never gotten into Cattle Decapitation. So I'm kind of with you. This is my first like full listen through of an album.
Oh, interesting.
I'm glad we had the extra time with this because this is one we did over the break. And I think it helped it quite a bit.
Take your time with it.
Oh yeah, for sure. This one took a while to sink in.
Mm-hmm.
What about you, Nathan?
So I think the first time I ever heard of Cattle Decapitation was through the band The Locusts, because I believe they're both San Diego bands.
Correct, yeah.
And I believe there was members or they played shows with each other.
Oh.
So I found out about Cattle Decapitation through The Locusts. And it was cool. It was like grind stuff and everything, but it never really, it never really stuck with me.
Mm-hmm.
And then I kind of kept track, and I never took with them, you know what I mean? But also listening to this album, I kind of changed my mind a little,
Oh, I'm excited that you're both kind of noobs to Cattle Decapitation.
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of people, they think about the earlier stuff like Humanure and all that, which is, I love. I think all Cattle's good. I went through the break between seasons. I went through and like listened to their whole discography again. Fucking great band. So what jumped out to you guys? What did you think was like really different or whatever about this?
Obviously the vocals. I think that's one of the things definitely within this album and the band, especially with later albums. And the drums. These are two elements of this band at this point. Like the vocals and the drums are very up front for me.
The vocals are fucking insane. I mean,
yeah.
What'd you think of the vocals, Casey?
Yeah, so when we've been off for 3 months now, 4 months?
Dude,
it's been a while.
I've been jonesing.
So we suggested our next albums to prep for this season because we knew we were going to have a whole bunch of stuff, moving studios, obviously, and things like that, getting ready for it. So this was kind of on repeat in my playlist for the last 3.5, 4 months.
So you got a lot of time.
We were overqualified for the jobs.
Totally overqualified. And I had a couple trips for work where I had to go out of town, 3-hour drive. And so this got a few plays every time the way they were back. And honestly, I'm glad it did, because the first time it came on, I was not like overwhelmed, or it was kind of one of those, it's another one of those bands where they just grunt and make sounds or whatever. But after listening to it, the vocals are awesome on this. Like, honestly, the vocals are awesome. There's this high-pitched vocal that they do, the screaming part on A Living, Breathing Piece of
Human Defecating Meat.
Defecating Meat, where they sing that part in the high pitch. It makes you sick.
Yes.
It's awesome.
Yes.
It honestly makes you nauseous, because it's just this register that's just annoying. Unnerving. Yeah, unnerving. Yeah, it's so good. And honestly, it was about after the first month of listening to it that I finally started growing on me, and I was like, this is actually pretty decent.
Mm-hmm.
And the vocals and like you said, Nate, the drums on this are just killer. And there's even some really good guitar stuff.
The drumming's kind of like definitely like grindcore. Reminds me of Pig Destroyer a little bit. But fucking brutal. But it does hold back when it needs to, which is kind of cool, like in the melodic parts.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, but this band also displays the the fury and the intensity, but also at times breaks it down.
Oh, for sure.
And this is also the first album, to my knowledge, that, you know, the lead singer changed and tried different things and stuff like that with his vocals.
Right. This is the first. So this album's the first one they recorded with Dave Otero in Denver, Colorado.
Okay.
Kind of related to that, the Cephalic Carnage is from Denver, Colorado, and they
Good band.
Great band. I love Cephalic Carnage, and they did gang vocals on the first song, Carbon Stampede.
Oh, okay.
So that shouting is like all the members of Cephalic Carnage, and you can watch it on YouTube. It's
Yeah, you sent us that link, and I watched it.
Yeah,
I didn't realize who everyone was. But...
Yeah, dude, it was like the members of Cephalic Carnage and other people, right? And ever since they recorded with Dave Otero, and I feel like, because you can watch a lot of the behind the scenes on that of the recording of this album.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He's like getting Travis to do different things, kind of like having him bouncing off ideas, and they've been recording with him ever since. And I think it's the right decision.
And you know, it's just not three dudes saying this. I feel like this is in popular response to these last two albums. You know, last few albums of Cattle Decapitation. I think it's kind of known that like they've grown as a band, and albums
absolutely,
you know, gotten better, you know. And I feel like that's kind of a known thing. And what a cool way to have a career.
Right.
Yeah.
You know,
for your
good for them.
For your albums to get better and better, and the progression that you go on is like,
and that's
good.
massively talked about. I would say I feel like there's a more positive stuff about their newer stuff than older.
So I've newer gotten into Cattle, and I didn't go back and listen to their earlier stuff, so I don't know where the progression is. But I'm with you. I have heard a lot of stuff about the newer stuff about Cattle. And not being a fan, it's kind of one of those things you gloss over. But when you bring it up, it's something that I have seen a lot of stuff about people, you know, saying their newer stuff. And I don't know if it's the music or if it's the message they're going with.
It's two main things. I think it's they do more melodic parts now, where the earlier stuff they had like less than 1 minute songs.
Oh, okay.
Before, like grindcore songs, right? Gore
grind. Early years they had even probably shorter songs.
Yeah, like 30 seconds, stuff like that.
Yeah.
But now they have like more melodic parts, and then the vocals, like his experimentation with vocals is just insane on this. He delivers a vocal onslaught. Like every possible sound you can make with your voice, he's trying to do it. It feels like, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Gurgles, grunts, low growls between transitions.
Yeah.
Shit that it sounds like he's saying stuff, but it's so low that I can't believe how low and high he can get.
It's for sure another instrument, another tool within the band that niches it, you know what I mean? It cuts through in a good way.
Well, and then even to touch on, like you were saying, with they go into these melodic parts, and from being so almost disturbing with their heavier stuff to these slower melodic parts, it's almost like beautiful the way they go into these. And it's like you don't think of a band who can play in this style on the heavier stuff with these deep growls and grunts and stuff, to be able to clean it up like that and play something like awesome and like beautiful like that.
Well, so a question though. So when it does get clean and nicer or whatever, which is very, I mean, we're kind of like overplaying it by saying,
it's not nice at all.
But but I get what you're saying. In those parts though, do you feel like the more emotional or more breakdowny parts are also because of the vocals and not necessarily the music?
Well, I think it's the vocals and the guitar playing, because I think the guitar playing, when they clean it up, is just really cool too.
Yeah, and the drums hang back. The whole band's killing it.
Yeah, it's cool as hell. And kind of to touch on what you said, it's not like clean, like this isn't something. This is like if you took your car out into the mud bogs for the weekend and then drove it through an automatic car wash. Yeah, it's fucking clean, but it's not clean.
Well, yeah. Yeah, I would definitely say that also the production within Cattle Decapitation is also what has made them a little bit bigger. They're more accessible now, I would say.
Did you guys read the lyrics at all?
I did.
Okay, so the concept of, their stuff, the lyrics and stuff, I'm all for it. I love you know what I mean?
Like the anti-human, like humans are trash.
Well, it's not even that we're just even trash at points. It's like you're just... The bottom line is that we're not the all.
One of my favorite Cattle Decapitation songs is on the previous album, and it's "We Are Horrible People."
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I agree.
Great song title too.
I fucking agree. I reference that all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the lyrics are downright disgusting, like gore grind stuff. People like putrid, like gristle liquors, disgusting.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? A lot of it's really, really gross. And then I think in their later albums, they start to kind of get away from that, and they're talking more like Death Atlas sounds like the end of the world to me. You know what I mean? But like this is still that more like Cannibal Corpse style lyrics where people are getting shredded apart and whatnot.
And I love he's tapped into a good genre. It's a keg that will never go empty. You know what I mean? He will always be able to come up with good lyrics within this, I think. Within this band. I think every album he's going to kill it with the lyrics.
As long as we're still here fucking shit up, you got lyrics, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, endless supply.
So this was voted the best metal album of 2012 by Metal Injection.
What else came out in 2012, Casey?
Well, I don't know, but what I'm saying is this was a reader poll. So this was by the users, not by some...
In 2012, this is the best album?
From Metal Injection.
Metal Injection's readers. Which I don't know who...
I totally agree.
I kind of would want to know what else also came out around that time.
Off the top of my head, I think a Meshuggah album came out, maybe.
Well, this is better than that.
Sabaton Corollas Rex came out in 2012. We reviewed that album.
This is better than that.
Oh, yeah, I agree. That's a good album, though.
I don't know.
Oh.
Well, for you, probably.
It's kind of a toss-up, honestly, for me. I think they were both really good.
Did you guys watch any of the videos for the songs on these?
I watched, what was the one? Gristle Liquor you sent a while back?
Maybe, yeah.
And that's the only one I watched.
Lifestalker.
Or maybe that's what it was.
Yeah.
That's the only one I watched. Like I said, this was mostly, for me on this album, it was mostly just in the car driving because I was so busy other times that I didn't have a chance. So I didn't get a chance to research the lyrics.
But it grew on you said.
Oh, dude, it grew on me so much.
So you haven't seen the video for Forced Gender Reassignment?
No, actually, no, we did. We watched that one because you have to watch it on a different website. It's on YouTube.
Yeah, I forgot. What,
you showed it to us a few years
Rotten.com
back. Or something like that.
Don't watch it. It's unwatchable.
I watched it. It was watchable.
It's brutal.
It was disturbing.
It's very disturbing.
What I really loved about this album were the vocals and the drums. And that's also what I dislike about this album. Because it's so forward in the mix on some of this stuff that's all there is. There's times where I don't even hear guitar. And I've tried to listen to it on different, media and stuff like that. And sometimes it's like, is Cattle Decapitation the lead singer? Is Cattle Decapitation... Because there's parts where they're really good and it breaks down and it's really awesome and I'm feeling it. And then I hear that 2 songs later and I'm like, this actually sounds like a regurgitated Beyond Burger.
So that was one of the things I put on here.
You pulled this trick on. You gave me a black bean burger last time, and now it's a you know what I mean.
So one of the things I put on my notes today was the same thing. You could take this album and put it in your playlist and just skip to any track, any point at any track. And they almost, except for a few parts, you're going to be like, oh, is this the same part from the previous?
And the production is way too good on this.
The production is amazing.
It's way too spot on. It's way too...
I disagree. I think it's great that it's spot on.
Yes.
You want
I like the fact that the production is really good.
I don't hate this, but I have to bring these things.
Yeah, the guitar is too quiet, though.
in my ear after a while, you know what I mean?
The guitar is too quiet in the mix.
Dude, what are they doing?
Everything's loud as shit the whole time. Yeah.
And then sometimes, I agree. I do agree with, being experimental, but sometimes it's like, is that experimental or are you just figuring out what kind of works and you're just like, I don't know.
I do feel like they kind of cracked a formula.
Oh, he definitely...
You know what I mean? And they're
I think the album after this is better than this album.
I agree. And but that formula, it's like their formula, dude. Like, this is the Cattle sound that they found on this album. And they're like, oh, dude, they're excited to use it and use this new power that they found. And they're doing it on track after track. That's why some of it does sound kind of the same.
Well, and I kind of contradict what Nate said about the guitar and stuff, because I really feel like the vocal and drum lead this album, which is how it's supposed to sound, and the guitars kind of push back a little bit. But I also feel like when you get to those parts where the guitar kind of like leads or solos, it comes forward, and they do manage to step everything back. So to me, it almost seems like a conscious effort to put drums and vocals forward.
Yeah.
But my favorite, what I'm just saying, at least my favorite parts are the parts where it does break down.
Oh, yeah.
Because, like, you know, at some points he's like, you know, he's really quick with it. But when he really slows it down and you can really hear those guitars and really hear everything else that's going on.
So I have to agree, too. I think some of my favorite parts on this were the parts that slowed down. I think, like, my favorite track on here was the Monolith. Because it was slow, it was ambient, and it kind of had that sense of urgency, but really subtle.
That's the track before the last track?
No, it's like towards the...
Yeah, the Monolith is the like intro track or the interlude track before the final track.
Yeah. Was it Dead Set on Suicide?
Mm-hmm.
Track
right?
2, yeah.
Yeah. Do Not Resuscitate?
Yeah.
Fucking... You know, there's just killer tracks on here for sure.
What about that bass breakdown on Lifestalker?
Oh, yeah, that's good.
Dude, that gets me every... To me, that's signature
But those are
Cattle.
like the fucking... Yeah, those are like... But that's where I want to be like... The other parts, I just kind of... It starts to just... It's... You know...
Yeah, it's intense the whole time. And then those parts like hook.
But
like,
too clean for me.
Yeah, I feel you.
It's a little too clean for me at times, so that's why I would probably rate this 3.8. This is a great album, not dissing it. I enjoyed it thoroughly, and it made me go and reevaluate Cattle Decapitation, and I'm happy for that. So thank you for the pick, honestly, because I would have never went back and visited this band, and I found out actually the last album that came out, was it something Atlas? I'm sorry, but
Death Atlas is
Death Atlas. I actually enjoyed it more than this one. So,
I think they get better and better, and they're in the studio now. So I'm looking forward to the next thing.
You know, it sucks that it took this long, but I'm glad that it actually happened for him. So I give it a 3.8. I enjoy it, and I'll definitely revisit it.
So I gave this a 3.9.
Damn.
First time really listening to it, I think had we only had the 2 weeks like we normally do, it wouldn't have been there. The extra time really gave me time to dig into it and kind of like get familiar with it. And it's great, and I'm kind of stoked to hear what they have next.
Yeah.
I give this a 4.8 out of 5.
Awesome.
Nice.
This is an excellent album. If you ask me who my favorite band is right now, I'm probably going to say Cattle Decapitation. I think the album after this gets better, and then it gets better, and I just feel like they're on a good trajectory. Highly recommend this fucking band, because I love Cattle. This is Blenderstyle. That was Cattle Decapitation, Monolith of Inhumanity. A living, blending piece of defecating me.